Adobe Acrobat Studio, so brand new. Show me all the things PDFs can do. Do your work with ease and speed. PDF Spaces is all you need. Do hours of research in an instant with key insights from an AI assistant. Pick a template with a click. Now your prezzo looks super slick. Close that deal? Yeah, you won. Do that, doing that, did that, done. Now you can do that with Acrobat. Now you can do that with the all-new Acrobat. It's time to do your best work with the all-new Adobe Acrobat Studio.
New Year, same extra value meals at McDonald's. So now get 2 snack wraps, plus fries, and a medium soft drink for just $8.
For limited time only. Prices and participation may vary. Prices may be higher in Hawaii, Alaska, and California, and for delivery.
Before we start today's main show, I'm Ed, and a quick plug for my side project, Manchester United The Lost Tapes. I'm producing with Wayne Barton, longtime United author, and Patrick Barkley, the football journalist. That's Manchester United The Lost Tapes. Looks back on important moments in time. I think you'll all enjoy it. And now on with the show. Welcome to No Question About That. I'm Ed, today with Tom. How's it going, sir?
Yes, pretty good, thank you. How about you?
Doing all right. Not that the listeners or viewers need to know, but I had some minor gum surgery. So my mouth is full of stitches, which is uncomfortable. But apart from that, doing absolutely fine.
Yeah, it's not ideal to talk for 45 minutes to an hour, probably.
No, talking's fine. Eating's a pain. But there you go. No one needs to know, unless I could show them on camera, but that would horrify the viewers. I won't smile too much.
Maybe that's the way to get viral, to be fair.
Oh, geez, yeah. We'll take the gruesome route towards winning at YouTube, yeah.
That's it.
All right, so we had the Rangers game. I guess first we should talk a little bit about the hundreds, if not thousands, of Rangers fans that appear to have invaded the home sections and it's like Galatasaray all over again, isn't it?
Yeah.
There's fighting, reports of Rangers fans sitting in seats that weren't theirs and refusing to leave. Stewards wouldn't do anything about it, and it just, I don't know, it just feels unsafe that you get trouble, like you're asking for trouble. And of course Rangers fans have done this before, or like invaded Manchester and caused some damage before. So it could have been anticipated as well. And it appears that the club was selling VIP packages to Rangers fans with a notation saying, "will not be in designated away end." I'm like, what? Anyway, thoughts?
In some ways it's really hilarious because it's Ineos's quest for money in any way in any means possible, just the chickens coming home to roost, because it's, I think from the reports as well, it's season tickets that have been given back, tickets that have been given back and then sold as corporate tickets as well. So, which has been going on all season, and therefore for it to eventually come back and finally bite them on their ass is like, I mean, it just encapsulates everything about their ownership right now. Like it's just another thing that is just hilarious about what Man United is at the moment. And yeah, Rangers have crazy support and will, especially when they're playing Man United in Europe. Like, we don't play them very often. They're going to be massively up for it. They're going to want to get a ticket any means possible. And there's obviously so many videos from it, but in some of the videos you see packs in. Sometimes when you see like these types of things, it's just one or two, isn't it? And one or two like crazies or whatever, and then they get either their head kicked in or they just get pulled out by a steward. But this is like tens of to like potentially 100 people in a really condensed space, like just going mental. And you're like, how is this even been allowed to happen? It just kind of talks to the ruination of the club under Ineos at the moment. It's just another stupid move that they are trying to do to just make money any means in any means possible, and just
Yeah.
making us a laughing stock, and also putting loads of people's safety at risk.
Well, that's the thing, isn't it? I mean, I don't want to over egg it too much, but having away fans in the home end does antagonize people, especially if they're objectionable, which appears to have been the case in quite a few cases. I mean, there's definitely enough video of scuffles breaking out. I mean, it's just not safe. It's not the kind of environment we want. I mean, I'm sure you've been to plenty of sports where there are mixed crowds. It's fine at rugby and cricket, but that tends not to be the case in football, where it gets very tribal. So let's just be sensible, for fuck's sake. And you're right, it kind of encapsulates all the kind of penny pinching or revenue at any opportunity. I mean, I should stress the club have always denied that they resell season tickets as hospitality packages, but it just doesn't seem to be true. I don't think this is a conspiracy theory. There's just enough evidence out there that people have captured that this is happening.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think the marginal financial gains are worth it, really. And it's just one more thing, not the biggest thing, but just one more thing that seems to encapsulate what United are currently about. And in one sense, I can forgive a lot of the Ineos penny pinching, the trying to loan players out for any kind of money, or putting prices up, or, I mean, laying off staff, or cutting costs on away match ticket allocations, or staff benefits. I mean, I understand that United are in deep, deep financial dog shit at the moment, and they're trying to right the shit. And for all the high EBITDA numbers the club kind of guide, the actual cash flow, positive net cash flow, it hasn't been positive for 6 years now, right? So losing money hand over fist, it's unsustainable. Even if Sir Jim keeps putting in money, it's very difficult for him to keep doing that without equity. And I suspect part of the negotiations, the Glazers are unwilling to release any more equity that goes back into the club and not their pockets, right? So I kind of get why there is all this kind of financial stuff, and they're taking the PR hit in a way, aren't they? But this is unsafe. It's putting fans at risk, and it's hard to forgive that, isn't it?
It is, and all of this is just, it's kind of death by a thousand cuts a little bit. That all of the marginal gains, each marginal gain that they think they're gaining, they're losing a little bit of trust, they're losing a little bit of enthusiasm, they're losing a little bit of respect from the fans. And I feel that way. Like, I feel like my enthusiasm has waned so much. Like, it's just over a year that Ineos took over the club, and it's obviously really difficult when you come into any business and you try and restructure and you're trying to change so much about, especially with a club that's been a basket case like us for so long, and obviously a political being that we are, and the amount of scrutiny that they are under, etc., etc. But it's just, for so many things to just keep mounting up like this. And this one is, like you say, it's just a small thing in some respects, but like you say, it puts people's safety at risk. It also just undermines our fan base as well. It undermines the season ticket holders. It pisses people off that you're selling tickets for such a high price, etc., etc. It's just another thing that kind of adds to this shit show that they are serving us right now. And we'll get onto the Garnacho stuff as well, I'm sure. That is absolutely blowing my head, to be honest. The Garnacho thing, that is absolutely, it feels like the end of the world. But it also comes obviously after them. It feels like we as a fan base are also suffering for their mistakes. Like, obviously the big one in the summer, with the big two in the summer, hiring a director of football and then getting rid of him so quickly, re-signing Ten Hag to another year contract extension, then sacking him 5 months later. Those, if you're talking about, looking at all these marginal gains, we can save a little bit here. That's the big thing. They are the huge losses that amount to so much more money, obviously, than all of the little penny pinching tactics do.
Yeah, and I think you're completely right. I mean, what's happened with Ashworth and the manager situation, the swapping out of managers, it has been more costly than all of the marginal gains. And then some of that cost would have happened anyway. If you'd fired Ten Hag in the summer, there would have been some payoff anyway, but not the extra year contract, and they would have had to pay for Amorim anyway. But Ashworth is, well, we don't know, but let's assume it's a few million. Pay him off out of Newcastle and then pay him off when he left United, depending on when he gets a job and all of that. And actually, United may save a bit if Ten Hag takes a job. We'll see. But yeah, I completely agree on the idea that it's eroding fans' trust. And again, I think some of this restructuring is necessary. Kieran Maguire, the football finance expert, said United are living on a Champions League diet while earning Europa League wages. And it's a nice way of putting it, and that needs to flip. Because that actually was the case for many, many years. United had a very sensible wages to turnover ratio, very amongst the lowest in the Premier League. Perhaps even only Tottenham ever had a better one. And were making money. But in the last 6 years, there's been a hell of a lot of spending and a flatlining of commercial revenues. And obviously, we're not getting the broadcast revenues from the Champions League, 1 out of every 2 seasons, maybe even worse ratio than that. So, unfortunately, United had the right ship. And since you mentioned Garnacho, look, we might as well talk about that, and then we'll get onto the Rangers game, talk about the transfer situation. Because, I mean, the big reason why United are in such financial trouble is that we've spent a hell of a lot of money on players that haven't provided a return, and then you get bidden twice, once on bringing the player in and a second time on trying to get them out. And Antony is a great encapsulation of this, because it looks like he's going to Betis. They're going to pay about 85% of his wages. He's not a big earner when it comes to United, because he came from a low wage club in Ajax. But we're getting, it doesn't look like any kind of fee off Betis unless they qualify for the Champions League, which means there's about a £16 million a year PSR hit on the amortised transfer fee with Antony. So let's call it £8 million for the second half of the season. No coverage on that. So we are effectively, even if it's not reported like this, paying Betis to take our player. Right? They're not actually getting cash from us, but we are paying the PSR hit.
Which is just classic us, as
classic
it always
United.
is.
Yeah, pay so losing money hand over fist for players who are providing literally zero value to us if he goes to another club. Right? And given that he's got 2 years left on his contract this summer, we would be needing about 32 million to be net even on a sale, and that's never going to happen, right? I mean, Sancho would just about head above water with the sale to Chelsea. That will not happen with Antony, and so we'll have to take an impairment charge, which will come off our wage budget, come off our overall transfer and wage budget. And I think I see a lot of nonsense on the internet about stuff like this that people just don't get. And I find myself very frustrated arguing with people, because I'm like, look, don't want to sound like a dick here, and I'm never going to say this, but economics degree, masters, MBA, 15 years in corporate finance and strategy. I know a little bit about stuff like this, right? And the one that really gets my goat, which is repeated over and over again, is, we sell Garnacho for 60 million now. Let's just pick a number. We can spend 180 million. And the reason why people get to that number is, well, PSR is calculated on a 3-year rolling basis. If you take, quote unquote, pure profit from selling the academy player, it's not pure profit. It means the asset has zero value on the books. That you can then spread that cost out over, take that right now and then apply that to a 1-year PSR hit, right? Well, you can, but you have to finance years 2 and 3 in PSR terms. It's not magic money tree. Money has to come from somewhere. And in fact, years 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 on the amortized charge for any players that you bring in. Right? There's just no magic money here. All you're doing is selling a player to buy other ones in and kicking the can down the road on the pain that you feel later, which is exactly what United have done for the last 6 years, is keep spending money they haven't got. Anyway, that was a bit of a rant, wasn't it? But yeah, it's madness. And that is not even to get into like how dumb it is to sell high potential young players, which is exactly the type of player you have to have in this situation to rebuild again.
And it's exactly the type of player we are trying to sign. If you look at all the age range of the players that we're signing at the moment, especially the attackers, Højlund, Xerxes, like, who we signed Højlund for, what was it, 65 million?
72 million euros here. Work that out and whatever the pounds are. Yeah, something like that.
And we're talking about selling Garnacho. I mean, I think that Romano first said 60 and now it looks like 80 or something. I think that there's no player in the world that you could sign who has the potential ability of Garnacho for probably 120 million, to be honest.
Yeah, if he was playing at Borussia Dortmund with these numbers, like there's almost no peers in under 21 attackers across Europe.
20 years old. Like where you say, oh yeah, we could, if we sell Garnacho for 60, then we could spend 180. You'd have to spend 180 million almost to bring in a player of his potential quality. Yeah, we can get into the semantic, oh yeah, maybe he's not going to fit into this system, maybe he's not right, maybe he doesn't ever live up to his potential. But you have to have these types of players, because what are we going to do? We're going to sign a player like 3 types of Joshua Zirkzee in the summer, because look at how bad our recruitment is. We're just going to waste all this money. Like, it's not like we sell Coutinho to Barcelona and then we buy and we remake our squad, because we're not like that.
Well, that's the argument that's often made online, isn't it? But it has like the two sides of that coin have to be in play. Like, one, sell for a high fee; two, bring in a bunch of players for lower fees in order to net it out, and they all have to work.
And you look at our squad right now, we barely create chances. We barely score goals. Like, I think our defense, we haven't kept a clean sheet in so long, but I think our defense, like, it has the makings of being something pretty good. I think you look at us in attack there and you're like, we are struggling so much. Like, we haven't got a number 9 who's probably good enough at this level. Like, I feel like both of them have potential, but what you need when you have players like that with potential, you need to have a proper number 9 so they can alternate in and the pressure's not on them. So we should have, when we signed Højlund, in an ideal world, if we were a proper club, we would have signed Harry Kane and Højlund in the same summer, because then Højlund would have a less pressure on him when he'd be able to learn off the main man. So we don't have a number 9. We have these 10s, and we have Bruno, who's obviously great, but Bruno's aging. You need to remember that he's like 30, 31 at this point. We have Ahmad, who's probably actually his best position is a wing back. So who else do you have? Mount, who's injured all the time. You have Rashford, who's obviously going to go. So then that means you have to bring in an attacking player in place. Like we said, our recruitment is so bad. What are we going to bring in? It's absolutely insane to me that we're even considering this. And then, yeah, people might say, yeah, but the financial position that we're in at the moment is lending itself to, we have to sell Garnacho to keep ourselves afloat, or we're going to get deducted points, whatever. If that's all true, okay, I'm just going to take that as face value, even though it's not true. But
it's not true.
But even if it was, how have Ineos not got the foresight? So in the summer thinking, oh my God, in January, we're going to be in such a difficult position that we might have to get rid of our best potential player in January. Why are we signing Zirkzee here for so much money? Why are we signing Yoro here for so much money? I'm not saying that those 2 players won't make it. I have my doubts over Zirkzee. Obviously, I think Yoro is fantastic. But you don't put the club in so much peril that we might have to get rid of Garnacho in January, especially when Garnacho is coming off the season he had now. We're not even talking about a Garnacho that potentially has had a little bit of an up and down season and might not fit into this new system. Honestly, it's absolutely insane to me that you would even consider this. I wouldn't consider it selling him for 120. I would
no.
I just don't see what we'd spend on, what we'd spend the money on. I just don't know what he would get from it.
Yeah. Well, the one thing I should also say, I mean, since we're all being so critical of Ineos, and I think there's many
to jump up.
Yeah, or Sir Jim. Yeah, I mean, we should shit on them for many reasons, but the cash position of United has been floated by Sir Jim's £300 million of personal investment, right, which has gone into the United books. It looks like, let's convert that to about £260 million, $300 million. That would have been bank loans had he not done that, right? So as part of the deal, the Glazers made a lot of money, but they effectively forgoed, is that a word? Forwent? I'm making words up now. Those were shares they sold to Sir Jim. They didn't pocket that cash. Now, I'm not praising them. I'm just saying that was part of the agreement that Sir Jim would put that money in. Those would have been a line of credit otherwise. They spent about 45 million on capital project at Carrington so far. They may spend more on Old Trafford at some point later after the review would come in and we know what's going to happen with the stadium. But in reality, that's just gone onto the P&L as an owner investment. And look, so Jim could loan the club money right now and then write it off as equity later. It's very hard to do that until you have an agreement that says you're going to come into full ownership at some point, and there isn't that yet. I suspect it will happen. So let's just say we're very critical of how they've behaved, but would have been in an even worse position if that money hadn't been on the books. And the idea that somehow you're going to right the ship by selling your high potential players, I can't get my head around it. People rationalize it all the time. He's not as high potential as you think. Well, there are hardly any, if any, under 21s in Europe that have these numbers. We don't know where it'll get to. Tell me that there's so few players that you knew would be guaranteed to reach their potential at age 20. Even Ronaldo, people were complaining about him being unproductive tricks age 20.
Mm-hmm.
Messi different because he was off the charts age 20, but most aren't, right? So we don't know where he's going to get to. One, you have to buy in the same type of player in order to grow, because we're not going to buy in established Champions League players at this point. So it has to be high potential young. The cost to buy high potential young, I saw one, just as an example, one quote in the papers today saying United are interested in Tyler Dibbling from Southampton for 55 million. He's the guy with no goals and 1 assist this season. Looks very good. Not saying he hasn't got high potential, but he's not putting up the numbers, right? So it's it would be mad. I even from a footballing point of view, people say, oh, maybe he doesn't fit the system. But in what world does an attacking player not fit this system, right? Ahmad, a winger, is playing in this number 10. What you're saying is you do not believe that Garnacho could play inside and outside. He has to know when to attack 1v1, and he has to know when to come inside and play the wall passes and make the moves and play positional football. Are we saying that we've got one of the world's best young coaches and he can't do that? There's no potential for that? Sorry, Tom.
When you have the technical quality that Garnacho has, and you can tell there's certain movements and certain moves that he's in the matches that you can tell he's training on in the week. Like there's the one he can now cut in and shoot really well on his right foot. If you look at his early days when he was in the senior team, he wasn't doing that much. And that's what's great about these young players. You can see the things that they're trying to get better at and trying to learn. And he is so good at doing that as well. You can see certain patterns, certain movements that he's been training on that he brings into the first team. Therefore, because he's not hit the ground running in this system, in this 10 role, at 20 years old, he won't learn how to do it. It's absolutely ridiculous. And that point that you made about, what youngsters in the world at his age are putting up the numbers. I just quickly checked Vinicius Junior's numbers when he first moved into the Real Madrid team, because a lot of people were writing him off early days. And he didn't boast so in the first 3 seasons at Real Madrid, he scored 1 goal in his first year, 3 goals in his second, and 3 goals in his third. And by the age of 24, that was the first time he got over 10 goals in the league. 24 is 4 years older than Garnacho. It's unbelievable the level and the output that Garnacho is actually hitting already at his age. And people forget about that because it feels like he's been in the team for so long, and you think, it should be continuing at a linear rate, and every single game he should be getting better. You think back to Ronaldo, like you say, I remember a lot of games, and people don't remember this because I think people think that Ronaldo every single game was amazing. There were so many games, especially obviously early days, but even later days, where Ronaldo would be hella frustrating on a lot of games, because obviously we had such high expectations then. I remember being in the crowd and people were getting annoyed at Ronaldo hitting his first man or not beating his man and stuff. But obviously our expectations at the time were so much higher, and he was hitting his goal output was amazing. But people
eventually
were people were like that from Ronaldo. And it's also with a winger, Ryan Giggs used to get loads and loads of stick as well. Like, Giggs' stick most of the time was before my time, but obviously my dad used to tell me about it. My dad used to be one of the people who used to give him loads of stick as well. But like, wingers get it a lot, especially tricky wingers who have to try and beat men, because you're not going to beat your man every single time. Like a defender, especially Premier League defenders, are obviously very, very capable. Therefore, they're not going to just get beat every single time. But you watch Garnacho's performance yesterday, especially against Rangers. He was almost beating his man every single time. He's one of our only players. Ahmad does have it, but Ahmad doesn't have the electricity that Garnacho has. The directness, the ability to beat players so often, left, right, like he was doing yesterday. It's just, and his ability to link. And it would be, I mean, if he went to Chelsea, I'd be thinking that Jim Ratcliffe's like a Chelsea pawn at this point. He did try and buy him. Did he get a little
Agent
percentage
Ratcliffe.
did he get a percentage? Because it's almost to the point, like, I don't know what he's actually done for the club in a good perspective, and what he's compared to the bad. Obviously, I actually like Amorim. I'm joking around, but it's, if he goes to Chelsea,
we riot.
I'm already fuming at this point.
Yeah. There was an interesting interview with Iraola, the Bournemouth manager, today, where he said, you have to be brilliant to play positional football. You have to get it perfect. So that is Manchester City, not this season, obviously, but, peak City or peak Barcelona under Pep Guardiola, the epitome of that kind of football. And he said he prefers a player that will take someone on, forget the system, just take them on, because you get the opposition out of position. You take men out of the game. Now, there's been a criticism of Garnacho that he's not brilliant 1v1. I think there's opportunities to improve there. What he is great in space eater, and we've seen he can be an efficient finisher. So I just think if we're saying, we're going to bin him off because it's positional, he has a positional problem here, that just doesn't make sense in the whole team context for me. Anyway, we've talked about him for an awful long time. I mad with a capital M.
It's huge though, because it also, like, I know we're going to get onto the Rangers now, but there were photos of him in his Instagram post at the end. That this could be his last game that he's played at Old Trafford. His Instagram post was him clapping the fans at the end, and the way that he went off the pitch as well last night. He was the last person off, all the fans singing his name, and I was terrified watching that, to be honest.
All right. Let's talk a little bit about Rangers. United won with a 90th minute goal from Bruno Fernandes. Interesting game, really, because for a lot of this, first 10 minutes aside, Rangers had a few opportunities, didn't they? But I thought United got more and more comfortable throughout the game. Rangers' high MG, high pressing, sort of low technical quality game was likely to get undone in the end. One of the things that United don't do is create good quality chances, and I think that kind of played out last night as well. More of the ball and more control of the game than actual creation of high quality chances, and it almost came undone. Long ball over the top, Harry Maguire missed the header, and Rangers equalised with a couple of minutes to go, and up pops Bruno, lovely ball in from Martinez, and Bruno, clutch player of all clutch players, scores the winner. Another man that the internet sometimes tells you United would be best to bin off. I could just never get my head round, like, people who believe this. There's a certain amount of people. I guess it's the internet, right? So any opinion you can conceive of, somebody has it somewhere in the world. But the criticism that Bruno sometimes gets, I think, is mad. Man runs and runs and runs, loves the club, and scores 90th minute goals to win United games.
When we played Newcastle the other week and he wasn't playing, like, there was literally no quality on the pitch. And it's shown up a lot more in games where when we're at home and when we have to beat a team, how little attacking quality we do have in certain areas. Obviously, last night we saw flashes from Eriksen in that 10 position. I guess flashes at times with Xerxes, but in the wrong part of the pitch, usually in midfield, due to doing a nice little fancy flick or something. Garnacho, I thought, was brilliant last night. He could have scored 2 or 3 on a different day. Ahmad was a little bit quiet, but like Ahmad, Garnacho, especially, I think Højlund and Xerxes as well, they're young lads who are still kind of developing into their quality. You look at like how, I guess, where Bruno was at his age, he was probably at Udinese at that point and not quite, well, I guess no one really thought he was going to potentially be at this level. And then obviously went to Sporting after that. Like Bruno was, I guess, a little bit of a late bloomer. And I think that's also another thing that we need to take into account is kind of some of our players, like the age they are and the amount of stick they get for the age is just ridiculous. But that's why that Bruno stands out so much, because it's consistent quality. Yeah, I know he's not been the greatest this season compared to his usual levels, but on some days he just creates everything for us. Like whether it's with shooting, whether it's with clever passes like that beautiful pass he played to Ahmad, and Ahmad missed that one-on-one but then made a really good save. Whether it's the great finish at the end. Like there's no one in the team you would rather that ball fell to than Bruno. And yeah, I mean, without him, like I say, we have got a dearth of quality, of consistent quality. Without him, what would we do? Like, where would the chances come from?
They wouldn't. I mean,
They wouldn't.
Yeah. Depends how you rate him as whether he's a midfielder or an attacker, but it'll be something like the 99th percentile for shot creating actions for a midfielder, right? So, like, just almost no one on the planet creates as many opportunities as Bruno does. And that's his essential quality. I mean, yes, he takes a risk. Yes, sometimes he flaps his arms around and moans a bit. But if you rate players, like one scale of rating players by how much he winds up the opposition, then he's the 100th percentile, and that's perfect. So, yeah, it's just so important for this team. Like, in 3 years' time, if we're saying the goal is to challenge for the Premier League by 2028, I mean, that seems like an awful long way off from here, but that's the stated goal of the club. He'll be 33, pushing on 34. Then we can have a conversation about his role in the team and whether that's at some point we'll be able to replace him. But I'm telling you now, if you know the player that will definitely put up those numbers in an attacking midfield and they're like 22, 23 or something like that, great, name them. If you can guarantee they're going to do it, because I don't think you can. Like, and some of the players who are young and putting up numbers like similar-ish to Bruno, think about the cost. Like Florian Wirtz, to extract him from the Bundesliga, it's going to be 100 million euros, right? Or more. Jamal Musiala, even more than that, right? So finally, creative attacking player who's going to become the next Bruno, and it's going to cost you an awful lot of money. That contract he signed, it may feel expensive because it's a really big wage for a player who, assuming he declines over the next few years, but it would cost even more to bring someone else in. So if at 33 they give him another 5-year contract, then I may be questioning the sanity of things. But for now, he's the clutch player of all clutch players for United, and so important. But it's just kind of weird performance because it just went a bit flat in the second half, and Rangers got a few chances. And in the end, United's quality shone through, or just one moment of quality. But this is 2.69 XG, 16 shots, 7 on target, 6 on target. It's not bad. I guess you have to say two things. One, there was a period it went a bit flat in the second half, a bit concerning, horrendous mistake from Harry Maguire, I think, there from as much play as he's rightly got in recent weeks. That was worst of Harry Maguire coming out there. So that's caveat. But two, you're like, well, are there the beginnings of a system that's working here? Because it's not bad. 16 shots, 7 on target. Not bad.
Yeah, my 3 would be the quality of opposition, and especially how many injuries they had. They had so many youngsters on the pitch, especially in defence. Defensively, they were awful. The amount of times their fullbacks got beaten by Garnacho and Ahmad, it was really easy. And obviously, even the goal, that doesn't happen in the Premier League. That left back just doesn't get beaten so easily with that. Like, I think that's the big caveat for me. I know it's Rangers. I know they're a big club, but they are a team like lacking in quality. What are they? 10 points off Celtic in the
Yeah.
Scottish Premier League. Obviously, like they weren't great, and yeah, we did dominate the game. Yeah, we should have scored more, but I mean, it's the game. And obviously, we have in the past, even under Fergie, like struggled against Scottish teams. It's not like it's always a given that you should beat them, but I mean, considering like where we were, the team we played, I guess. I mean,
Right.
yeah, a couple of changes.
Rangers'
Collier,
budget is
Bandy.
championship level.
It is, and they had loads of injuries as well. So it wasn't even their properly first team, and they even got two injuries in the first half in this game. They had to come off at half time. So yeah, that would be also the caveat. But I mean, you can only beat what's in front of you. But I mean, we also were a little bit fortunate to even do that. Like we just, like Amarim said after the game, we do have to be so much more clinical. And yeah, to kind of go back to the Bruno point, what also I know people get pissed off with is the way that he moans at our players and the way he gets wound up and stuff. But you also kind of just wish, I know it's very like Sam Allardyce thing to say, but you also wish that our players did have the same passion, the same enthusiasm that he has. I think Amarim said it after the game as well. Like he has so much passion for the game. It reminds me of United teams of old who always used to play with that passion. Every single player was like that. Every single player was a dickhead. Every single player was hated by opposition fans.
Quite. Look at Roy Keane, right? Roy Keane's one of Bruno's biggest critics. He would have loved him.
Oh,
Roy Keane was playing in the same team. He would have loved him.
Yeah, like, and Ryan Giggs was like that at times. Beckham was obviously like that quite a lot as well. Like the reason why Beckham was hated all the time, he used to give it to people. Like Rooney, obviously, standing in front of the cop end after scoring a goal and holding his hands behind his ears. Ronaldo used to give it some as well. Like, we used to have loads of players like this. But now, I guess because we're shit, like, players don't have that kind of personality to kind of be shirky. But I love that Bruno just doesn't give a shit about that. He doesn't care how he's perceived by others. Like, he just wants to win a football match. And that also speaks massively for him as a person, him as a footballer. And I also want that from my captain. So, and I think De Ligt's got a little bit of that about him, but I think that's tailed off a little bit already somehow. Martinez seemed to have that a lot when he first came in, but again, it feels like it's been dampened a little bit. We need to see more of that. And I think Amarin knows that as well. And I think he's trying and instill a little bit of that. And the thing is that Amarim's just got so much to deal with right now in so many different respects.
Yeah, we need leaders. Bruno's a leader. I don't give a shit about the moaning and stuff like that. I mean, he wants more out of his. I'd rather it was like, come on, give it more, rather than that was shit and flapping his arms around a little bit. But I don't think that has any impact on the actual performances at all. Right? Prove me wrong, sort of thing. I think that's just an optics thing. He's one of the few players for whom United hasn't ruined, and we ruined so many players. Like, how many players really improve over the last 10 years? Pick out the ones that have come to the club and improved, and let alone actually perform to the level we expect of them. So yeah, it puts United in a pretty good position. Not definitely qualified. Lose to Steaua Bucharest on the next match day, and other results go against us. And in theory, we could drop out of the top 8. It seems unlikely that all the results go against us. And also, given Steaua Bucharest are not particularly good, I don't think. Then, I'm just making that assumption based on their previous results in this competition. So, not actually probably done better than their UEFA coefficient ranking would have them.
Yeah, Romanian football's not quite like it was in the 90s.
No Georgie Hadji in this one.
No Georgie
United can't win this league because Lazio are on 19 points, but actually unbeaten. Amazingly enough, for all the defeats we've had this season, it's not come in the Europa League.
Yeah, compare that to our usual conquests in Europe as well. It is quite a turn up. And also, this is the most important competition we're in right now.
Yeah, it is.
I'm also kind of surprised that he rotated in the way he had. I thought Collier was great last night. I think it's worth saying that as well.
He's improving for sure.
He's not quite as eye-catching as Mainu, especially when you just see them in first kind of make it into the first team. Like Mainu is a Rolls Royce of a player, and Collier's a little bit more Agate-esque, I guess, in his kind of movements. He's not quite as smooth with the ball, but his energy's great. And he was, I think he got 94% pass accuracy last night or something as well. So like, it's not like he gives the ball away all the time, but he was great. But I am surprised that Amorim did rotate in the way he has, because this is the way, like you say, Kieran Maguire saying that we're playing with a Champions League budget in the Europa League, but like, this is the only route into the Champions League. This is the only route to having a little bit more money in the transfer kitty in the summer. And you also look at kind of where we are in the table. I know we've not played that well. We've not beaten that many good teams, but there's not that many good teams in this competition, to be honest.
Yeah,
So,
I wouldn't
and
put
no one
United as favourites just yet. I mean, obviously
No.
Lazio, good record in the Europa League. I'm a bit behind in the Serie. There's Eintracht Frankfurt, who perhaps aren't as quite as good this season as they were last.
Not really.
Who else?
Tottenham are pretty crap.
Tottenham, yeah. I mean, they are, crap.
They're worse than us in the league.
Many
somehow.
senses. Athletic Bilbao, we've obviously had some interesting games against
Well, they
them.
got battered by Ollie the other day as well.
They did. Ollie 4-1 Besiktas
Oh,
opening game. Yeah, he loves a big victory on his opening game.
He does,
as
doesn't he?
manager, yeah.
They're going to go on an absolute run, aren't they?
Yeah. What's the Turkish for a PE teacher? I'm not sure. Yeah. Much maligned Ollie, much
Yeah,
better
comments
record
there.
than the internet would give him credit for, or went to shit after he had Ronaldo foisted upon him.
Oh, I know.
Still-
You look back on it now and it's just,
Glory days, wasn't it?
it was the
Yeah.
glory days. I mean, I wish that every single person who used to slag off Ollie would write a letter of apology towards him, because you look at where we are now compared to where we were under Ollie, how much fun we were having even. And to be honest, the team was actually better. We had so much more quality in it, and everyone was slagging us off and everyone was slagging our players off. You look at us now, it's just complete night and day, isn't it?
Yeah, so you're right. United need to win this competition to get into the Champions League. Not going to end up in the top 5 in the Premier League unless we go on an absolute tear in the second half of the season. Doesn't seem likely. I
Can't
guess
quite see
stranger
it.
things have happened, but seems unlikely at this moment. I wouldn't put as favourites to win this competition, but what a transformational impact it would have. I mean, it's about an 80 to 100 million pound impact getting the Champions League plus status. It'd accelerate our growth. By a couple
we're
of
good in
years,
big
we
games.
wouldn't have to sell more young players in the summer, that kind of thing. So it's incredibly important, to the point that if we get into the knockout phases, I mean, depends. We should get a decent draw in the knockout, because we'll play someone who has to qualify. It's seeded, right? So we'll play someone who has to qualify. So they'll have had 2 extra games, plus they won't be very good. But if we get to the quarterfinals, from then on, you might be thinking about rotating in the Premier League, as long as we're not actually going to get relegated, and prioritise the Europa League. You might seriously think about that in the way that Jose did in 2017.
I'd absolutely do that. And I think we've seen this in the 3 games where we have performed under Amorim, against City, against Arsenal and against Liverpool, that this team does get up for big games. It has done. It did do last season in obviously the FA Cup and the quarterfinal against Liverpool. It's when we play against teams a little bit lower than our level, or teams that sit back, that then we kind of go down to their level and play much worse than we can do. But I feel like every single game, and most teams as well in Europe, especially this competition, do play quite open. I don't think there's going to be that many teams that are going to sit back against us. Like even like Rangers yesterday. I mean, it gave it a little bit of a go, and even if they try and sit back, the teams, because they're not as good as like Premier League teams in this competition, they're not going to be able to quite have the same intensity as us. They're not going to be able to sit back in the same way as us. Yeah, a few years ago, I'd have been like having a go at like loads of people for saying that the Premier League is miles better than anything else. But now it's just a true fact. All the best coaches are here. All the best players are here. Like Brentford are outbidding AC Milan for types of players and stuff. Like that's just a fact. And therefore, like this competition should be easier for us. Like you say, we're not favourites for it, but I don't see why we can't go on a run, because one-off games are just how we perform in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
And you think the home games as well are going to be different, because you feel like the fans won't be quite as likely to maybe be as impatient as they sometimes have been in this competition. If we go off 1-0 down, I don't think it's going to be booing. I think it's going to be more like we need to get them up for the second half, because if we play badly in the second half, we're going to go out. Whereas if it's Premier League, it's just another loss. I think the whole kind of atmosphere changes. It's a night game. It changes a little bit in that respect as well. Like more people are more pissed in the stadium. They're going to be a bit more rowdy. Yeah, I don't know. I'm talking myself into.
That's really not. We need.
I'm talking myself into a loss to Ferencváros in the first round, and
geez,
complete egg on my face.
I think what I'm taking away from that is we need more beer in stadiums.
Yes, we do.
By the way, I mean, I think it has become worse over the years. It always was kind of true that people would get to their seats quite late at Old Trafford and drinking beers in the pubs around the stadium. I mean, I guess you could get your shitty lager, Champions lager as it was for a while. That's disappeared, hasn't it? In the stadium, but obviously the amenities are not particularly good at Old Trafford. It's quite crowded in the concourses and stuff.
It's not much
people
better
do
than
get to their
Carling
seats quite late. And I do think that sometimes affects the atmosphere. We haven't had a great atmosphere at Old Trafford since maybe the Barcelona game. It's been a while since the crowd seems to have been really up for it. Everyone's very tetchy, on edge, because the results aren't particularly good. So, yeah, I mean, maybe Europa League knockout rounds will... And we're not going to get a big name. I mean, I suppose we could get Roma, but I guess we can't get Fenerbahce, can we? I think we're like... The current names in the playoff places include AZ Alkmaar, Union Sanggalwas, Tony Bloom's team, but he part owns it. Can't get PAOK. Real Sociedad, we've had some great games against them over the years.
Yeah.
Midtjylland, the data nerds.
That's the sort of team that would
club.
knock us out. That is the sort of team that would knock us out.
Yeah, well, of course we played them before. Wasn't that one of Rashford's first ever games for the club?
Yeah, of course. Yeah, it was. Yeah.
Elfsborg, I think is Swedish.
Yeah, I think so.
Roma, I mean, it could be a good one. Obviously, Ranieri with his 15th comeback. Besiktas, what a game that would be.
Oh, that would be great.
Would you love that?
Amazing. I would love that so much.
The atmosphere you get there, God, I'd love to go to that.
Wow.
Porto, who are having a bad time of things at the moment. We've just played them this season, though, so I don't think we can play. I don't think we played 20, but there's Braga, Hoffenheim. Go down the list and stuff like that. We're not getting those big games against Barcelona, PSG, and so on in the next round, but there are some tricky-ish ties there in this competition. Anyway, just super important. We didn't really talk about the game much, but a few moments. Harry Maguire mentioned, really bad mistake for that. Just missed a flight of the ball. Sorry, Harry. But all the praise that you've got, I think we have to critique that one as a particularly shit piece of defending. Even shitter than that, though, was Jack Butland, former United player, Jack Butland, punching one into his own net.
I completely forgot he was at United. Oh, my God.
We had it on loan.
It wasn't even that long
Palace.
ago, was it? Yeah, Jesus. I completely forgot that he was at United,
Yeah,
I don't think he ever actually played, did he?
I don't think he played. I think he was just there for the training, basically.
A lot of training.
Yeah. I think it's to do with the drills. It's useful having 3 goalkeepers.
Yeah.
Something like that.
Yeah. And like we were obviously doing the Arsenal corners again last night, and we should have scored.
Aren't they?
Yeah, and they seem like they're working. Obviously, like we scored from one, we should have scored from another. That how was that goal disallowed on Euro? Unbelievable.
He was being fouled, and then he stumbles into the player in front of him. That Arsenal foul, worse than that, 10 times a game. Literally 10 times a game. And the whole point of their corner routines is to block the goalkeeper off and block defenders off, and they push players onside. They foul constantly out of the line of sight of the referee. Unbelievable piece of shit officiating. It feels like we get it every week. And as I said on Twitter, it's hard not to get into conspiracy mindset when that stuff happens to you.
And what's the point of VAR as well? Like that, it's just the most obvious. It's the most obvious non-foul I've ever seen. Like it's not, I don't even think he's going to get near the ball. I don't think the guy's even going to get near the ball either.
No. So there's that one. Also, Harry Maguire heading wide from 2 yards out.
Yeah.
Not the best night for Harry, unfortunately. So, yes.
He's allowed a night off, isn't he? But yeah, it's good to see us at least improving in that respect. And they tried one like that, and Bayern did really well to parry away. And so, because obviously he had his moment against Tottenham a few weeks ago where he just let that straight in.
Do we have a conversation about the goalkeeper position, given how many mistakes Onana's made recently? I mean, I think it's clear to me that Onana's a better quality keeper, definitely better with his feet. It's just that the passing range, we don't see that often. It seems to go long more often than not. And for all the data says his post-shot expected goal against versus actual goals against is in the plus, as in he's saved more than the average keeper would. He's made 10 errors leading to a goal across all competitions the last 2 years.
I think a lot of people will disagree with me here, but I think just technically Onana is a much better goalkeeper than Bayern. I kind of look at Onana and I feel like he does most things right. It's just, I feel like it's a concentration thing with him. And I remember Gary Neville asking him that, I think on the overlap last year, just as he was starting to get a little bit better and he was kind of starting to get back in his groove, getting a bit more confidence. And he kind of posed that question to Onana, not directly, but kind of implicitly. And Onana was like, no, we're professional footballers. We don't suffer with concentration problems. But he's always been like this. Like, he's always made mistakes, like big comedy gaffes, comedy errors. And that's not from lack of technique, in my opinion. That is just lack of concentration. Like the mistake against Brighton, like how do you make that error as a professional goalkeeper? Because your technique should be so good that you shouldn't happen. It feels like it's in his head, and that's what kind of is annoying, obviously, like most frustrating. Because whereas I feel like when you watch Bayern there, he's good. He's a good keeper. He's a nice number 2 to have. But I just feel like he gets his hands in the wrong place a lot of times. He gets his feet in the wrong place a lot of the time. He kind of looks like he's fumbling to places. Like his technique for that one that he let in from the corner is just bad. Like, you shouldn't be like going with that hand in that way. You should be going with 2 if possible as well. Whereas Onana, I feel like he does, even when like some shots slip through him, like it's like he gets everything in the right place, but it still goes through. It's just, and that's what's kind of difficult to kind of choose between the two, because you've got Bayern who's not had enough exposure to know if his concentration levels are of adequate quality, but you've seen kind of like a lack of potentially first class technique, and then you've seen Onana who obviously has got the exposure to be able to see both, and his concentration problem is a huge thing. It was obviously bigger last season, but it's been that thing throughout his whole career, and that's not going to improve, to be honest, is it?
I don't think he is. He's just a bit untidy. I think it is concentration, because if it was a biomechanical issue, a technical issue, you can coach that out, and you should be able to, right? You just keep repeating the training drills until it's muscle memory. I know some people were saying he takes a step too early the wrong way, and that's why sometimes he's beaten when you think he shouldn't be. Maybe. I mean, I've seen some goalkeeping analysts say
there
stuff
was
like
one
that
earlier this season when, I can't remember who it was, but he stepped to his right really early, and the guy just shot at the near post. It was a 1-on-1. I can't remember who it was against. But it's like, what are you doing? Maybe it's against Liverpool. But yeah, that is a concern. I agree.
All right. Well, I guess we're about wrapped up there. United doing all right in the Europa League. All right. It's just about the finances, a total mess. We're flogging off young players. I can't believe it.
I hope this isn't the last pod I do when we have got Garnacho in my next pod.
Such a horrendous
watching
mistake
him play
if
for
that's
Chelsea.
the case. All right. Well, thank you, Tom. We'll have you back on soon. Now you're off on your no longer off on your mega hollybobs, which you were for weeks on
more
end.
Holidays.
Do you even do any work? Unclear.
No, I'm just a
Debatable.
layabout, I'm afraid.
All right. Well, a short plug for my new podcast, The Lost Tapes. If you haven't caught that one already, it's on its own feed. Manchester United, The Lost Tapes, in all places you normally get your podcast. Produce this with Wayne, who's on the show often, Patrick Barkley, the Times, Guardian, Independent, and Telegraph journalist. of old has done the voiceover, a lot of audio from Tom Terrell, the old BBC Radio, Piccadilly Radio Manchester commentator. Hope you enjoyed that one. Thanks a lot, everyone. Catch you next time.
This podcast is part of the Sports Social Podcast Network.